Welcome back to Tabletop Salt. I'm Ross, and today I'm going to look at what's happening with Warhammer 40k seasons. Now, this was something introduced late into 2021, I think it was around December, and we were sort of given the idea that a lot of products were going to start fulfilling a sort of season-long narrative idea where a lot of the products were going to come together to be telling more of the story and also a bit more what about the products were going to be. However, I think in some ways that we should now be moving into season 2 or already be in it, and we haven't really seen this expanded upon. So I'm going to discuss what exactly was the 40k seasons at launch when we were talking about them previously and what may have happened to them. Let's start by looking at the previous season. So the previous season was announced and marketed on the 28th of December 2021. So I'm going to assume that their plan was really to start the season at the start of the year with January 2022. And if it was lasting 6 months, we should already be in season 2. You could even maybe say that season 1 kind of started at the end of January. But even then, we really should now be either hearing about season 2 or actually be in it. Now, the previous season brought us a few items, all aimed at exploring Warzone Nachmund and Vigilus in particular, and this was the chapter approved, the Warzone Nachmund Grand Tournament rules. We had a Crusade mission pack, Wars of Faith, campaign books. Now this was Warzone Nachmund, Vigilus Alone, and then Rift War. We also had a campaign box, Eldritch Omens with Chaos Space Marines and Aldari. And then we also had a Kill Team box, Nachmund with Chaos Space Marines and Corsairs, and I think that Morok was also part of that as well, but could have been partly separate. Kill Team did have, I think they try and have a switch every 3 months, so although that might have been part of the Warhammer 40k seasons, it could be argued it was separate, but I think it was part of the Vigilus sort of campaign and story. So main thing to note is that when they did actually mark all this in the 20th of December, we did get a lot of things announced. And this was the chapter approved, the Crusade book, the first campaign book that was Vigilus Alone, and the campaign box was all revealed to us with the Kill Team only hinted at that would be part of it as well. But this was still a huge amount actually shown to us initially before the launch of Season 1. The first release of this was the campaign book, Vigilus Alone, in late January. My initial thoughts when all of this was announced was very sceptical. I felt this was personally more of a rebranding and a refocus of current plans because we already had the sort of campaign box coming out, we already had the campaign books, and everything sort of seemed to already be coming out, but maybe they were being a little bit more focused in terms of the storytelling. But a lot of people were generally quite negative towards it, and I was very negative towards the campaign books. My hopes were that we were going to get now a lot more informed 6-month plans of what the direction of purchases were going to go. And in some ways we have got that because we do know stuff that are coming out, but I'm not too sure on it. And the other one was better focused stories. And although we did get a lot of Vigilus in the previous season, I'm not sure if that's going in the direction anymore. As we now should be in Season 2, but Games Workshop have been very, very quiet on terms of announcements or what the next plans are for Season 2, it comes to my thoughts that I believe that seasons were kind of one and done, an idea that they may not want to expand upon. Now, it can be argued that if they actually started in January, maybe February for it all, we might actually see seasons come back, that we would be entering Season 2 at a later date, but they did mark it as an idea for every 6 months, so the sheer fact that we haven't heard anything about it yet really makes me a bit trepidatious. So, why do I think that the reasons that Warhammer 40k seasons may have fallen apart so quickly? Now, the first thing is initial reception. The announcements for Warhammer seasons was, as I said, trepidatious at best, however, hugely negative overall. People saw a lot of similarities in terms of either the naming of it or what they were going for was very similar to the video game industry when we get seasons there. And generally there's a lot of bad business practices people did not like. So this whole marketing idea they went with seasons just had a lot of reflection to other business practices people didn't want, and that is really not a good idea. The other thing as well, as I said, there was vast changes in production. Shortly, or possibly before, so don't quote me on when the exact time of it was, but all the Warzone campaign books were removed from order. The only ones you can get now are this season's campaign books. Now this is very odd for a number of reasons. The first one being is that those rules are still in use. Now I think you can get them through other methods, which is fine, but to have all the printed ones removed while they're still in use is very unusual. One thing I did also note is that when the first books came out, that was the Charadon ones, they actually, the next books after them, were reduced in price. Now for Games Workshop to reduce anything in price is very, very odd. Now I can only speculate is because these campaign books were very, very poorly received. Every single one of them I reviewed, I did not review well. I just thought they were probably one of the worst things that Games Workshop was producing at the time, mainly because they were just not offering quality, well, not quality, but really value to the customer, and possibly they were just not selling well. So they may have not got a reprinted print run, and possibly that they're not going to continue these sort of campaign books in the format they're going with. Another idea that they're not going to continue these campaign books is that we've recently seen the Chaos Space Marine book, and it has supplements all within it. Now, this is really good value for the Chaos Space Marine book, but it means the supplements you would get in these campaign books largely might become redundant if every single faction supplement was already in their codex. I thought that was a great move for Chaos Space Marines. You have basically all the rules, hopefully you'll ever need, in that book. You don't need to get any other ones. So largely that's actually a good move, but it does make a lot of questions towards seasons. The other one is Crusade books are now no longer available. I don't think any of them are actually available at the moment, which is very, very unusual. These were quite... one of the things they marketed quite a lot. I don't know how popular they were because I don't really play Crusade games as much, but they're not available anymore. And these, along with the campaign books, were two major things that they actually pushed towards the start of seasons. We saw the campaign books, we saw the box sets, we saw the Crusade books, and we also saw the Grand Tournament books. These are two of those products already put into large doubt going forward. The other part as well is mainly a refocus of the business. Speculation that Games Workshop wants to explore the narrative, they always do. We had Psychic Awakening beforehand, so I've got no doubt there will be narrative campaign books returning. I just think that they've realised that the ones they were currently producing were of a very poor quality, that people were not buying them because they were not getting enough value for their money from them. And a lot of what Seasons was doing when it was initially marketed was doubling down on all the things they were doing previously. And I think there must have been a conversation in Games Workshop, and this is entirely speculatory, and they said that these are the areas that we're not happy with, that either not selling well or not working, and how best to move forward. And I think when you take Seasons into account, it just didn't work. You couldn't really do Seasons as the format of which they wanted to market them as, and then also try and change up the business, change up how they did things. And that is it for what my thoughts are with what's happening with Warhammer 40k Seasons. Now, I could be wrong in this, a lot of it is speculation. It could be in the next few days, maybe weeks, we'll actually see what Season 2 will be. But I think a lot of Warhammer Seasons actually pigeonholed Games Workshop into ideas or products that they had to bring out, which they were just not comfortable doing. The campaign books in particular, I thought were not good. Every single one I reviewed I did not think were the best, and I think we are maybe possibly moving past them. We are seeing that in Chaos Space Marines, that they have their Legion rules, which is great, and that's kind of all their supplements covered. And I believe in Chaos Demons as well, there is the Army of Renown in the book for Be'lakor. Now these were all part of the campaign books, and now they're gone. So I think Games Workshop will have to go back to the drawing board, have a look at what they need to do on that side. Now, we had Psychic Awakening, which some people enjoyed, some people did not, but I think they were largely more appreciated than the current sort of campaign books, so I think they will need to go back and have a think about what they would need to do then. We also have the chapter approved is largely not as needed anymore. I believe a lot of their rules are actually now free, including the points mainly being free, which is a huge part of it. And it's mainly the box sets we're not seeing yet, or the Kill Team Into the Dark seems to be separate from Nephilim. So a lot of the seasons just seem to be, the idea of it seems to be totally separate now. I would argue for the better. I'm very happy with the Chaos Space Marine Codex in terms of how it's structured. If Chaos Demons works out well, but it's got its Army of Renown all packed inside it, that would be really nice, and it might be a good thing for codexes going forwards, but I think we need to see a few more of them to really decide that. But yeah, what are your thoughts about the Warhammer seasons? Was it a one and done? Maybe they realised it just was not well received, or maybe their plans for it were maybe a bit more ambitious and not quite going to really achieve what they wanted. And what will we see going forward? Now, we already seen many products that are coming forward, many things I'm excited for. Ash Militarum, World Eaters, great! I'm all looking forward, but it's not coming under these brand of seasons. So, is it gone? Let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you in another Tabletop Assault Battle Report.